Tonight on Golf Central, the final series on the European Tour is in full swing. This week, it's the second of 3 stops, the Nedbank Golf Challenge, where points leader Henrik Stenson headlines the field. On the LPGA Tour, it's the second to last event of the season, and there's a lot at stake. The race to the CME Globe, the Bear Trophy, and Player of the Year. And they're down to the grand finale on the PGA Tour Champions this week. 36 players will compete in the Charles Schwab Cup Championship with a $1 million bonus on the line. All this and much more right now on Golf Central.
Golf Central, brought to you by Titleist.
Hello and welcome to Golf Central. Lisa Cornwell, Trip Eisenhower. First up tonight, the PGA Tour Policy Board has announced that Jay Monahan will be the next PGA Tour Commissioner when Tim Finchem retires. Monahan joined the tour in 2008 and has served as Deputy Commissioner since 2014. Here's a quote from Monahan saying, "I am greatly honored by the trust the Policy Board has shown in me to succeed Tim Finchem as Commissioner. Under Tim's leadership, the PGA Tour has made remarkable progress, even in the most difficult economic times. We are now entering a very important time in our organization's history, and I know our executive team and I will draw upon and be inspired by the invaluable experience of working with Tim as we take advantage of the extraordinary opportunities as well as face the challenges that are ahead for the tour." Transitions are never easy. Trip, how difficult or easy will this be for Monahan?
Well, I think this one's going to be seamless, but let's face it, he's got a tough act to follow. I mean, Tim Finchem, as a player, all players have disagreements with management. That's part of it. I mean, usually as a player, I had minor disagreements with Tim Finchem, but overall, he had to balance what was right for the tour, the executive team, sponsors, and the players. It is a tough job to be commissioner of all those different elements and tie them together. Tim did a fantastic job. He goes out with an A overall rating, easy to give him that grade without question. But Jay Monahan has been working very closely with Tim, and I'm sure Tim is not going just right off into the sunset right now. He's going to be around. There's a few things that he wants to take care of over the next couple of months, years, etc. And then I think Monahan's just going to be a fabulous follow-up to Tim Finchem, and the tour is in great hands.
I said it's when Commissioner Finchem retires or January 1st, 2017, whichever happens first. Now let's go over to Matt Adams and Tim Rosafort for more reaction to this news.
Lisa, thank you very much. It was interesting that in his comments he spoke about both challenges and opportunities, Rosie. You know, when you think about it, we're creeping up on almost 50 years since the PGA Tour was established in a split in the late 1960s from the PGA. There's only been now with this announcement, our 4th commissioner of the PGA Tour. What do you think about the challenges and opportunities he faces?
I think he's going to do a wonderful job. Number one, you have to wonder what kind of leader he's going to be. And you go back to his high school days and also his college days, both playing hockey and golf at Lawrenceville and also Trinity. He was a captain of both teams. As Tripp mentioned, tough act to follow. Finchem had an unbelievable legacy, among the all-time greats of commissioners of all sports. If you look at what he's done, some of the things he's patched up, but also some of the things he's created over the course of time. Seth Waugh sort of helped him break through, you know, kind of learn the ropes, understand golf more than some of the other sports. And talking to Seth today, former chairman of Deutsche Bank Championship and also the Deutsche Bank Bank, he said, described him as smart, balanced, fair, but with backbone, a good listener, calm, client-oriented, getting the players' trust, does the work before he forms his opinion, and not afraid of hard decisions. Those are the type of things we expect out of Jay Monahan going forward here, following the legacy of Tim Finchem.
And with those attributes, of course, it also speaks to the fact that as he's coming in, he worked his way up through the ranks, both on the marketing side and on the tournament administrative side. Lisa, so we'll see January 1st when he steps into the office, if not a little bit sooner than that. The PGA Tour will have a new commissioner, and we'll see what path he decides to take it.
Matt, thank you. Here's a quote from the commissioner. "I have the highest regard for Jay and have total confidence in his ability to lead the PGA Tour well into the future. He has been a key member of the executive team since joining the tour and has worked closely with me on all business matters since becoming deputy commissioner. Jay is well respected throughout the PGA Tour family and the golf industry. I know he will do a tremendous job for the players and all constituents of the PGA Tour." Some big honors were recently earned on the PGA Tour. Dustin Johnson capped off an incredible 2015-16 season, which included his first major title in the U.S. Open by being named Player of the Year Johnson had 3 wins in all and earned over $9 million on the golf course. Late in the season, we also saw the resurgence of Rory McIlroy. The 4-time major winner looked like his old self in late September in the Tour Championship at East Lake, beating out 2 other guys in a playoff to not only win the golf tournament, but the FedEx Cup and its $10 million bonus as well. While there has been a lot of hardware already handed out, there's still a lot on the line around the world. We've seen some magical moments, not just from Rory and DJ, but how about Henrik Stenson? He is the leader in the race to Dubai standings, and he highlights an impressive field this week. Let's take a look at Henrik and exactly what he's done and where he's going. Stenson is seeking his second race to Dubai title, the other coming in 2013. The Swede's nearest chaser is reigning Masters champ Danny Willett, who has to be full of confidence this week considering he won the net bank at the end of 2014. In addition to his Masters title, Willett was victorious this year in the Omega Dubai Desert Classic and has a total of 5 top 5 finishes worldwide. Number 3 in the race to Dubai standings, Rory McIlroy. He is not in the field this week. The world number 2 pulled out of last week's Turkish Airlines Open and will need to win the season-ending DP World Tour Championship to have a chance to claim the race to Dubai. As we take a look at the numbers, while Stenson has the lead, it isn't a big one over Willett. He's right there on his heels, and while McIlroy does have a mathematical chance to win, he will need some help. Tripp, looking at these standings, it looks like it's Stenson's to lose.
Well, right now, technically it is. Danny Willett could start playing well. That would be a surprise. He has not played very well since his Masters win. Only a couple of top 10s. So, yes, and Rory McIlroy not playing certainly helps Henrik Stenson's chances, Lisa. But the thing is, Henrik is playing a golf course he finished second on. They had this tournament in the early part of the 2015-16 season on the European Tour. He finished second in that event. So you look at Henrik Stenson on this golf course. It's a ball striker's golf course. If he has an 8th place finish or better, that's going to put it pretty much out of Rory McIlroy's hands, even if he does win Dubai. But when you look at Dubai and the 2 horses for courses, well, you've got Henrik Stenson and Rory McIlroy. If you did not pick Rory McIlroy as the favorite to win in Dubai, well, you would clearly pick Henrik Stenson. There you can see 73 under for Rory McIlroy the last couple of years. 53 under for Henrik Stenson. Amazing top 10 percentages. They both won the race to Dubai here. And yes, I think it's Henrik Stenson's to win based on the fact that he's playing a golf course he likes, followed up by another golf course that he likes. And again, if he has that 8th place finish or better, even if Rory wins, Henrik Stenson will be the champion.
Let the conversation continue. We go back over to Matt and Rosie.
Lisa, thank you very much. So here was the conversation once more centering around Henrik Stenson and Rory McIlroy. Last week at the Turkish Airlines Open, there was so much discussion about who was not there coming in. Tiger pulled out because he said he wasn't ready. Rory pulled out because he said the reasons were, quote, unquote, obvious. With all that, sometimes the stars of the game all get swept up with the same net, Rosie. Was it fair for Henrik Stenson?
Well, it wasn't. And he made a point, sending me a text last week to say that I never entered the event in Turkey. And he was taking some heat for it originally, but not after this came out. He wanted to show his loyalty, obviously, to the European Tour, as well as the PGA Tour. And he had a good reason. He didn't want to spend a month on the road away from his family, which in some part is essentially what McIlroy's ideas were as it relates to traveling. He's engaged to an American girl who they're going to get married later this year, so potentially could be targets. And even though that's second guessed, there is nothing that Stenson wanted to do to be associated with that kind of thing. Remember, we went down to Rio and everybody's talking about security issues. So he didn't have any with Turkey. It was just a matter of he wanted to be fresh. He also didn't want to be on the road that long away from his family, which you can respect and understand.
Fair enough. This week, of course, the PGA Tour champions will wrap it all up. Let's take a look back at what happened yesterday. Here we are, Scott McCarron, the 18th hole, this par 5, this birdie putt to win. Rosie?
Well, you can do the anchor band, but you can put the long putter in the guy's hands, and it doesn't mean he's going to make a putt every time when he needs it, and he didn't. Now we're in the playoff. With
Tom Byron, here's Byron laying up at the par 5 18th from 271. Tom Byron lands it right there safely.
Good spot where you think you're going to take a wedge and be able to capitalize on it. Man's got to know his limitations in those type of situations. It's macho to go for the green. Maybe it's smarter sometimes to lay up.
From 260 yards, he didn't lay up. One of the longest hitters on tour. Here is McCarron. Got a little bit lucky there, just bounces above that bunker. All right, here we go. On the green. This is Byron with this birdie effort. That one just slid past, Rosie.
You know, and that's one he obviously needed because you don't think McCarron's going to miss the same putt twice.
From 6 feet for the victory. A fist pump for Scott McCarron. Second win of the season of the PGA Tour champions. This got him into the top 5, where similar to the FedEx Cup final, in the top 5, you can control what happens to. Here's Desert Mountain. Rosie, I know you've been out there. What do you think of it as a venue?
Tremendous venue. The type of golf course Jack Nicklaus designed. He won his first Champions Tour event there a long, long time ago. It is a monster of a facility. 4 golf courses there, I believe, maybe 5. And one that Bernhard Langer is hoping to find some luck on.
And here is the luck that he's had so far. Bernhard Langer, you could see the number in the center column, just how dominating his 4-win season was in 2016. There's Scott McCarron now, worked his way all the way up in the second. Colin Montgomery, third, Joe Durant, and Miguel Angel Jimenez. You know, when you hear me talk about how dominating the season was for Bernhard Langer, we're in the playoffs now. And I get the fact that when you're talking about any sport, it's a question of what do you want your playoffs to be? Do you want the regular season to stand for more than the playoffs, or do you want the playoffs to almost be a season in and of themselves? The English Premier League, for example, there are no playoffs. You win the regular season and you've won it all. Is this current structure, with the reset that they're going into right now, and the fact that any one of these guys can grab the lead and win the Charles Schwab Cup, is it fair to Bernhard?
No, it's not fair to Bernhard, but it wasn't fair to the Patriots when they went undefeated in 2007 and then ended up losing in the Super Bowl, which is essentially what Langer did with 4 wins this year, 2 major championships, the big lead he had built up. But this was all about creating some drama, some change, some volatility, and certainly they had it. In other circumstances, you would have had 2 good players from the Champions Tour vying it out, winning in a playoff in McCarron's case, but it had more meaning than that, it had bigger meaning than that. And too bad for Bernhard, but this is sort of the way it's become in golf now, and it worked for the FedEx Cup. It's worked in the race to Dubai, so it's going to work on the PGA Tour champions as well.
I asked that same question to Fred Funk earlier this morning on my show, and I said, is it fair? And he said, you know what? On the surface, it may not look fair, but think about when Billy Haas won the FedEx Cup. What was he, 22nd in FedEx Cup points going in, and he blasted.
How many people mention that anymore? All they talk about is that great shot he hit from the water.
That's true, and rightfully so. Lisa, back to you.
Thanks, Matt. Alana's online for world number 1, Lydia Ko, and world number 2, Ariya Jutanugarn. As the LPGA season winds down, we discuss why Jutanugarn may be turning the tables on Ko. Plus, we get you set for next week's PGA Tour event in Mexico when Golf Central continues.
Golf Central is brought to you by Titleist, the #1 ball at the Shriners Hospitals for Children Open. Titleist, the #1 ball in golf. Arcos, advanced GPS and distance tracking for every shot.